Hello, everybody, and welcome to your favorite show each and every week. We're talking about Rasslin and Racin, brought to you by Arden's Burger and Grill in Central South Carolina. That's where we'll be tomorrow night. That's right, tomorrow night for the Women's Singles Hall of Fame. Well, we calling it the Hall of Fame match. That's right, from the Final Four to the championship, and then we're going to have the men's tag team Final Four to the championship. That's tomorrow night at Arden's Burger and Grill in Central South Carolina. Looking forward to seeing everybody out there. Come on out. Come on out. We're going to have all kinds of things. We're going to give away some $10 off cards. That's right. $10 off cards at Arden's Burger and Grill to save you some money if you go to ardensburgerandgrill.com. And folks, you got to go to .com and look at the food. They've just made some fresh new pictures of all the great things that they got. Make sure you go to ardensburgerandgrill.com. Also, we want to thank Dorsey Auto Sales in Anderson, South Carolina. And Dorsey, I got a car from Dorsey. I honestly do. I got a Chevy, and it is an SUV, and I love that thing. Great gas mileage. Has not given me any trouble. I've had it over a year now. And folks, if you need a used car, go to Dorsey Auto Sales, Anderson, South Carolina, on Whitehall Road. All right, folks, don't wait. Let's bring him in. Ref Brandon, how we doing?
Absolutely fantastic. I hope you are.
Oh, we're doing good. Let me fix this thing here. Let's get some volume here. All right, now I got you on good. Well, Ref, we had a very interesting weekend. In other words, it was quiet on the home front. What did you do this weekend?
I actually had a wrestling show Saturday night, and then yesterday I came home, and my wife said she was going to go visit her mama for a while, so I came home and I sat on the couch saying I was going to watch the Braves game, Jay, and I think I slept about 2 hours.
In other words, you slept through the Braves game.
Yeah. I saw the first couple innings and the last couple, and that's about it.
Well, there you go, folks. Ref Brandon, asleep on the job, just like he is in the ring. All right, let's go to our Dorsey Auto Sales NASCAR moment. You know, one day we're going to get some graphics. We're going to get Ref Brandon on this video with me instead of on the phone like I got him right now, folks. We are working on that. We have been trying to do this for 2 years, but I just don't get great reception at this house due to the metal roof. I don't know what it is. It's some kind of thing. Anyway, Ref Brandon, tell us what happened in NASCAR yesterday.
Well, Ty Gibbs came away with the win. If you recall, his first couple of years, people thought that, Joe made a bad decision by putting him in a cup car because, he wasn't even really competitive. But this year, I think we're finally starting to see what kind of talent he has. And that was his second win of the year. But he's actually now, if you look at the point standings, he's up to second in the point standings. But he's 103 points behind Denny Hamlin. So because of Tyler Reddick's late regular season collapse, Denny Hamlin has all but won the regular season championship. Yesterday's race was at Iowa. And now there's only 3 races left in the regular season before the playoffs start. And Ryan Blaney's still third in the points. Tyler Reddick has dropped all the way to 4th. And then if you look down at the cut line, right now the cut line in 16th place is Austin Cindric. And he's still 29 points ahead of Ryan Preece. And then we have Ross Chastain in 18th and Brad Keselowski 19th. And Eric Jones has had back-to-back awful races, and he has dropped all the way to 20th. And I think Eric Jones has an outside shot of getting it, but I think it's a very, very, very outside shot. Ryan Preece is 29 behind Cindric, and then Ross Chastain's 18 behind Ryan Preece. And I believe it's going to come down to one of those 3, but Cindric's going to have 3 awful races to not get that final playoff spot.
And, we are talking about NASCAR. We are talking about, wrecks do happen. Things can happen in front of you and around you. So it's still possible, but those guys have got to make up some space. There's 3 races left till.
Just 3, and you know we talked last week. I think it was about all the changes in the NASCAR schedule. They've already released next year's playoff schedule.
Yep.
And there's a couple of tracks that are on there this year that are not on there next year, and they've already announced that North Wilkesboro won't be getting a points race, and they've already announced that the preseason race, I still call it the Clash, is going back to Daytona next year.
Which makes sense. I mean, they're already at Daytona. No sense in repaving or paving a college stadium to hold a race and, doing some of the things they was doing for the Clash. I think it's more sense since everybody's already in Florida at Daytona, just to have it there, and it just makes for a longer weekend and more things. Just like I rather the race that they held right before the 600, the All-Star race. I wished it was back in Charlotte. It just made sense because you had 2 weeks in the same spot. It helped the economy in those areas, and I don't know. That's just me. And also I saw where Homestead's now back to being the last race of the season. They got rid of a couple races and added some races. And it's also down to 10, is it not? Didn't they knock it down to 10 weeks now?
Yeah, it's 10 races, and the thing is, they do it because when they first started the 10 race, you can call it chase or playoff, whatever words you want to call it, people complained because the schedule was the same every year. It was, the same 10 races, the same weekend, and all the fans said that's not fair because you have teams or drivers that are better at certain tracks. And if you're a driver and you're, first in points, second in points, and they're going to your best tracks for the next couple of weeks, well, obviously you had the advantage. And if you're, 10th or 11th in the points and they're going to a track that you suck at, well, more than likely, you're in for a bad race. And they said, well, and not only that, but you look at other sports. The World Series moves around. Super Bowl moves around. So why is NASCAR going to have the same 10 playoff races every year? So now they've got it to where it changes. But the final race can't really go to many places because by November, a lot of tracks you go to, it's going to be cold, it's going to be snow, and it's going to be windy. So really, when it comes down to the final race, you only have 4 or 5 options. You got Phoenix, Homestead, and you could go to Daytona, but you already go there twice, so you can't do that. So really, you have Phoenix, and you have Homestead, and maybe Las Vegas. But anywhere else but November, it's going to be cold and rainy and snowy.
Yeah, I remember going to Atlanta back in the day. In Atlanta, I don't know, I know there for a while it would be good, but it seemed like every time I went, it freaking sleeted or it rained. And I got so mad, I was like, the year I don't go, it's sunny, breezy, great weather. And I would go, freaking snow or sleet. No, it was sleet or rain, and it would be delayed. And oh my God, it was like, it was unreal. But, I think this is a smart move. I know some people said that, they also had to move Daytona back a week because of the Super Bowl too. That was also something that was brought up.
Yeah, they don't want to have the first race of the season be held on the same day as the Super Bowl, of course. But the Super Bowl has been usually the first Sunday in February. And for whatever reason, next year, it's not until the second Sunday in February. So therefore, NASCAR can't start until the third Sunday in February. So it's going to start later than normal next year by 1 week.
Yep. So a lot of different things. I mean, smart on NASCAR's part because, the Daytona 500 is your Super Bowl, but you don't want it up against the original Super Bowl because you're going to kill yourself in the ratings. And I think when it comes down to it, you don't want to move it back, but you have no choice if you want to get the viewers to watch your product.
No, you don't. And nothing in America is going to compete sports-wise with the Super Bowl. It's not going to happen. Even though, you honestly, really, truly, you could move it up to 1 o'clock Eastern time, and the big game don't start till 6:30 Eastern time. So if you had Daytona at 1 o'clock or 1:30, it's going to be done before the big game starts. But the problem is the pregame show starts at like 10 o'clock that Sunday morning. For whatever reason, people choose to watch that all day long. And it would look real bad if people chose to watch an 8-hour pregame show over Daytona.
Well, not only that, but, Daytona is also notorious for having rain that time of year. And if you ended up getting delayed until 6 o'clock because of rain, people are not going to watch it after that. They're going to say, you know what, we gave you till 4 o'clock. We're getting ready for pregame. Let's do our thing. So, all right, folks. Well, there was our NASCAR report, and we want to thank Dorsey Auto Sales, like we said, for everything they do for us here at Rasslin and Racin. Well, now, Ref, we go to our Arden's Burger and Grill Pro Wrestling report. That's right, Arden's Burger and Grill, home of the Powden Burger. Hopefully home of the Rasslin and Racin Burger or the Rasslin and Racin Chicken and Waffles. We'll have to get Donnie and Angie to tell us what they're going to turn into Rasslin and Racin. Don't say anything, everybody. We're going to make Ref Brandon pay for it. Anyway, we're going to just go to our next report. And Ref Brandon, what a week in pro wrestling. Tell us a little bit about what happened in the WWE.
Well, we got a lot going on right now. We just had SummerSlam. Well, now the big rumor is that Rhea Ripley's going to be out for a long time, so I'm guessing they knew she was going to be out for a long time, but not quite this long. So if the original plan was the interim champion wrestle Rhea when she comes back, that plan might change because now we don't know, when Rhea's going to come back. So apparently her injury was really, really bad. I guess worse than they originally, thought it was going to be. But now they're talking about Nick Aldis eventually sometimes probably going to come back for another not long run as a wrestler, but he's going to come back for more than just, the one match he had at SummerSlam. So my guess it'll probably be around Rumble time leading into WrestleMania.
Well, also, speaking of which, Chelsea Green, who just won the interim championship, got injured at SmackDown and broke her orbital bone around her eye. And she was on Instagram. She said, if it rains, it pours. And she doesn't know what's going to be the issue with her. This has got to be, you could tell it was really affecting her. Your thoughts on this, Ref? She just got her golden ticket, as they would call it, and first SmackDown out, here you go. Broken orbital bone.
We talked a few weeks back, I forget what the topic was, but we were talking about injuries, and it was somehow related to, wrestling, and we're talking about how, the Madden football game for years had that, what looked like bad luck charm to where if you were on the cover, you were going to get hurt. Well, now it looks like this women's championship is a belt right now you don't want, because Rhea gets it and she gets hurt, and then Chelsea gets it and then she gets hurt. And not only that, but then we had the Bella twins turn on Paige at SummerSlam and found out I think Brie is the one that's hurt. So I don't know where they were going to go with that feud, but I'm sure Brie was going to be involved. But now, she is out hurt. So now I don't know what they're going to do with that title because, Chelsea just won it. So you don't want to take it from her already. But with a broken orbital bone, now you can put something on your face and try to wrestle, but I don't know if she'll want to do that or not. But you can't have an interim champion. So I don't know what they're going to do if Chelsea either can't wrestle or chooses, not to wrestle.
Lots of just crazy stuff going on. We saw Becky Lynch return, and also your favorite wrestler, Miss Stephanie, returned. And they gave Liv Morgan more than what she could ask for. So we're going to have to see where this particular thing goes on. Dominic Mysterio was in the news saying that he is tired of the funny gimmick crap that they're putting him in because they had him lose to freaking Danhausen at SummerSlam. He's tired of it. He wants to be like he's being treated in AAA as a serious star. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm glad he said something. I hope he don't get, backlash for it. But ever since he came in, and it had that storyline with him and Ray supposedly hating each other. It seems like he's always been more of the supposed to be the entertainment type comedy act and not the serious wrestler type. I don't know why, because he is an amazing wrestler, but you kind of can't call somebody Dirty Dom like they're big and bad and then never give them a chance to show why they're dirty. So just call him Dominic or let him actually go out there and show why he's Dirty Dom. But they've never taken his character seriously. Never.
Oh, I don't know what's going on in WWE. It's like hit or miss. They'll hit on one and miss on three. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I'd say that's probably maybe hit two and miss two, but they're definitely missing with as many as they're hitting. But you never can tell. But it seems like the ones that they hit end up being miraculous. Either good guys or bad guys for years, and the ones they miss on, instead of just missing on them, they'll miss on them, and then they'll try to change their character and change their look and everything else. When once you miss that bad, there's no coming back. You're done for.
We also heard that Sol Ruca is going to have a mystery partner to take on Roxanne Perez and Mamacita, Miss Rodriguez. Who do you think this could be? I'm thinking maybe Mickie James.
Well, that, but I was also thinking maybe Tatum Paxley or Lola Vice, because that was two NXT girls that pretty much have said bye to NXT and look like they're going to the main roster. So I think it would be a good way for either one of those two to pretty much make their main roster, debut and instantly be put in a meaningful match. But I could see it being Mickie James as well, or somebody like that that's able to still go out there and wrestle.
Well, didn't she join Charlotte Flair and Bliss this past week on SmackDown? Or was
I don't know if that was just her way to debut, or if she's going to be doing something with them, going forward, or what the deal is. But her and Lola were probably, along with Thea Hale, the three that were carrying NXT now that JC Jane is, on the main roster as well. So now poor Thea Hale and Blake Monroe, that's all NXT's got now as far as, female wrestlers.
So a lot of crazy stuff going on there. I tell you, and we saw Randy Orton return, and he said, Cody Rhodes, you're the one that said you wanted the old Randy Orton. I brought the old Randy Orton back, and now you're complaining like a baby. What's your thoughts on this feud?
I hope they do something with it, and I hope it's more than just one match. And I'm happy to see Cody Rhodes finally out of the title picture, and maybe this feud will end with Randy Orton winning the feud, and Randy Orton get pushed toward main event status of having a belt, because it's been a long time since Randy Orton's been world champion. He's had some opportunities here and there on occasion, but it's been a while since he actually held the belt. So I'd be happy to see him win it again. But I'm happy to see Cody finally out of the title picture, because it seems like for the last 3 years he's either been champion or going after the belt. But now with him having this feud with Randy, he'll at least be out of the title picture for, at least till Royal Rumble, I would assume. But, it's a built-in storyline because they've known each other, for so long. And we talked about this a year or so ago, and we thought they were going to have a feud, and turned out they didn't. But ever since the Legacy days, you've got a built-in story right there. So why they waited so long to do it, I don't know. But I'm glad they're finally doing it.
And honestly, I would love if that when it comes down to the final match, you bring in Ted DiBiase Jr. to be the special referee, and have all of Legacy there at one time. I think that'd be kind of memorable. All right, well, there's our WWE. Ref, you've been watching a little bit of TNA or NWA lately?
Yeah, I tell you, I wish TNA, now they're claiming that the deal that looked like was going to happen between TNA and Road Dogg is not going to happen. So they still have nobody. I mean, I guess there's somebody that's being the fill-in booker, but as far as an actual booker, they don't have anybody. And now they're losing stars left and right. If they're not careful, they're going to kill themselves because people are going to be leaving because they don't know what direction they're going because there's nobody booking the show.
Yep. And they got Jeff Hardy versus Nick Nemeth and Matt Hardy versus his brother. I think this is the wrong way to go. You got the tag champs being split up in a way that if Hardy were to win, I mean, you know, it seems like they're trying to pull off one big match because we both know Matt Hardy versus Ryan Nemeth is not really going to be an all-star match, but it just seems like they're reaching for gusto or like some kind of unicorn magic trick to try to help their next pay-per-view by having Jeff versus Nick. I just think it's a waste of time. And I don't know. There's nothing TNA's doing right now that makes me really want to watch. I mean, I'll watch if I want to watch wrestling, but it's nothing that I go and make sure I put in my phone, hey, TNA comes on at this time, let's go watch it.
Yeah, and I hate it because they were finally building some, momentum, and then all of a sudden they ran off a cliff in no time. And I think the reason why they announced that big time match is because the next pay-per-view is coming up and there's no direction. So it's kind of hard to try to get fans to buy the show when they have no idea who's wrestling. Yeah,
and I'm sorry, I blame the WWE because of the way they're stealing their help. I'm sorry.
At least this way, if you announce, two big time stars, people might, want to buy it and watch it just to see that match. But it's going to be hard to sell one advertised match.
Yeah, $39.99 for just one match. Technically, no, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sure there's. I know there's some good wrestlers on the show. Don't get me wrong, folks, but nothing that makes you want to pay $39.99 to watch a pay-per-view. I'm sorry, I can watch those same stars for free on their channel. So it to me it seems like a waste. NWA, Ricky Morton was on there with his son and basically gave an interview that said, you know what? I told my son not to do like I did. I had a chance to be the world champion, and I decided to stay a tag team champion. I wanted to worry about my tag team thing. I told him don't make the same mistake I did. Go after the world title, and he's taking on Silas. What's your thoughts?
Well, I'm glad, but at the same time, Ricky pretty much broke in as a tag team wrestler.
Yeah.
Whereas Kerry broke in as a singles wrestler. So Kerry's pretty much, except for, teaming with Ricky on occasion, Kerry has spent most of his career as a singles wrestler. So it's not like he is, taking a tag team and breaking them up to be a singles wrestler, whereas Ricky would have been leaving Robert. And Ricky tried to go on a singles run in WCW. I guess it was 92, 93.
We have the Hart, not the Hart Foundation. The York Foundation.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Yeah, and then him and Robert ended up facing each other when Robert got back from his injury, and that feud was not held real good. They fought at the Great American Bash, and it just was a mess. I think because everybody knew neither one of their hearts was into it, and just crazy. But NWA, I've been still impressed. They're still got a long way to go, folks. I'm not sitting here saying they're WWE, AEW, but they are surpassing TNA right now. They have surpassed OVW right now. Now, the MLW, I think, is still a little bit better. And is it GWL? Or is it GWC?
There's one called GCW.
Yeah, GCW is Killer Cross is the champion. Well, actually, he's the champion in MLW too right now.
Yeah, that's GCW.
Yeah, he's championing both of those federations right now. I think they are both better or than the NWA, but NWA has passed TNA. NXT, I'm sorry, folks. I don't watch it. There's nothing really there that makes me want to watch it. I love Santana. I love Blake Monroe, but I'm sorry, they're not. It's the storylines because they're yanking everybody. I mean, it's really ridiculous, Ref. You can't get into anybody at all because you never know if they're even going to be there for the next pay-per-view or what's going on. I mean, it's just there's no function to it. And the WWE is there. I mean, I understand the WWE's got injuries and they got to bring people up, but you know what? You're at fault for some of those injuries because you're rushing people, I think, a little too fast.
Yeah, and I hate it because it seems like every time NXT gets a male or female that starts to get popular, they put them on the main roster, and it's like, well, first of all, how is NXT ever going to grow if you keep pulling everybody they have? But second of all, if you're Raw or SmackDown, you've got all these stars that aren't getting used, so why don't you use the ones you already have instead of calling up ones from NXT and continuing to hurt NXT? Like they brought Rusev back, and what's he done?
Nothing.
Nothing.
He is jobbed.
Why bring you back?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I would put Rusev in NXT right now and let him be champion, because then you at least utilize his strength, his attitude, and let him grow a group of guys there to battle him to, rebuild his stamp. I mean, because you got to think, Rusev's got to think, my God, I didn't think I was going to be brought back to a job like I've been doing. Nothing against Penta, folks, but Rusev should not be teaming with Ethan Page and then losing to Dragon Lee. I mean, Rusev was in the world title hunt. He was in fighting AJ Styles. I mean, Undertaker. I mean, he did some big matches and he was vicious. And now you got him, almost just being ran over. I think to get his credibility back, I personally would, if I was Rusev, I would leave. I'd go to AEW or even TNA or NWA. Go somewhere where they're going to treat you like a champ, let you run over people, build your credibility back, and then go back to WWE if you want. Or actually, I wouldn't even go back to WWE anymore after that. I don't care what they paid me. I'd say, listen, you're not paying me to go to a house show or get on TV and get my butt whooped by freaking Dragon Lee or whatever his name is. I mean, it's just, I'm sorry, Riff. It just makes no sense.
And, Rusev, it's kind of like, Andrade. Andrade was WWE, AEW, WWE, AEW, and now Rusev's gone back and forth. But, even when Rusev left the first time, went to AEW, when he was Miro, he didn't do a whole lot there. It seems like ever since Rusev debuted, he had that big, huge, long winning streak when he first started. And then he wrestled John Cena at WrestleMania. And I thought he was going to win that match, but he lost the match. And then he started wearing boots, whereas he was originally barefooted. And it seems like ever since then, he's been stuck in wrestling purgatory.
Well, he lost Lana, which was his wife at the time. And, thanks to Cena. And then, once that broke up, it was him. What was the guy that was the singer? I can't remember. That started the Rusev or whatever it was. Rusev Day.
Aiden English.
Yeah, Aiden English. When they did the Rusev Day, he got some of his gusto back. He started winning matches again. But then it just like they got rid of Aiden English and then Rusev just went right back to being not used or used as a ploy, as I would call it.
Yeah, it was almost like they didn't know what to do with Lana, but it was hurting Rusev. So since they couldn't decide what to do with her, they didn't know what to do with him because, remember, he had her, and then they took her away, and then they put them back together, and then she left either with Bobby Lashley or Dolph Ziggler, one of the two, and then she went back with Rusev, and then he went to AEW, and he was by himself again. So it's kind of like they didn't know what to do with Lana, so they didn't know what to do with Rusev, because Lana said years ago she didn't want to wrestle, so she wasn't going to be involved in any storyline where she had to wrestle, because she wasn't going to wrestle. But all she would do was sit outside the ring and say Rusev crush. Well, after a while, that's not good enough. You've got to do something else. It was kind of like when they had Karrion Kross on SmackDown. He had his wife with him, and she didn't talk. She didn't help him cheat. She just came out there and just stood there. Well, after a while, that's kind of pointless. And that's kind of where Lana was. So it's kind of like, well, we don't want to put Rusev on TV without Lana, because then they're going to wonder what's going on between those two. So we'll just keep Rusev off TV. And he just never got to do anything.
You know what? We need to dedicate a show to stars that the WWE killed. How they just destroyed their moniker. And we're talking about Van Vader, Rusev. I mean, folks, we could make a 5-week show off of just stars that the WWE just misused. And that's what's happening right now. I mean, people want to say about AEW. At least AEW just keeps them off TV and doesn't kill them. I mean, I at least give them that much credit. They either bring them back and use them well, or they just leave them off of TV and let them get paid. And I mean, I'm sorry, if I was a star and I'm getting paid a lot of money just to sit at home, I don't mind it that much. I mean, shoot, it's your money. If you're going to let me sit at home and get that big paycheck, I mean, and what I've heard, you know, people love the fact that Tony Khan is good to the wrestlers. He pays for their way. They don't have to pay for their way like WWE makes some of the stars pay for their way to get from town to town. He pays for their flights. He doesn't make them drive unless they're short distance. I mean, I'm sorry, Rip, but I think WWE, when it comes right down to it, especially since TKO's took over, it has just been a mess.
Yeah, and, we were talking about NXT, a while ago, and, I think the main reason why they put Grayson Waller back there was to try to help grow NXT, and I'm glad for Grayson Waller's sake because he wasn't getting used, but at the same time, I just don't know if people are buying a ticket to see Grayson Waller. So I don't know, although I'm glad that he's finally, getting used on a weekly basis, I just don't know if people are going to say, man, I'm going to NXT. I get to see Grayson Waller. I just don't know if he puts butts in seats.
Not unless they repackage him and let people see that, you know what, I got tired of being a mid card or the warm up card on Raw when I could go to NXT and be in the world title hunt. I think that's a totally different thing. But like you said, he's going to have to get repackaged. They're going to have to figure out some kind of neat slogan, some way for him to get fans to cheer for him and keep it there and grow his fan base. But yeah, I agree. You can't just throw him there and then, expect him to win people over without some kind of storyline. But I mean, at the rate they're going with stars getting hurt, how do we know that he didn't get called back up in 3 weeks?
I know, and maybe I'm crazy. I know there wasn't no social media, back 25 years ago like there is now. But, if you ever watch Dutch Mantel's YouTube channel, he's always talking about how back in the day they wrestled, 5-6 days a week.
Yeah.
And it seems like now that, for the most part, with a few exceptions, AEW and WWE both have done away with house shows. They have 4 or 5 a year, max, and that's it. So these wrestlers have gone from wrestling, 5-6 nights a week to wrestling pretty much just on, Raw and SmackDown or, Dynamite and Collision, whatever, and that's it. And then pay-per-views. And it seems like there's more injuries now than there was back when the guys wrestled every doggone night.
Well, the stars are a lot bigger than they was before, and now AEW I don't know how WWE does their stars. I know every once in a while they allow their stars to go to some of the smaller promotions. But AEW is an open door thing where they allow their stars, hey, if you want to go get on TV down at CMLL or go to New Japan or wherever and keep your craft going and keep building your fan base and all that, Tony Khan has always been open to that. The only thing I think he's ever stopped was there was one, I forgot what it was. I think it was the Brian Pillman memorial thing that WWE had sent some stars down and they wanted one to face an AEW star and be the winner. And he said, no, I don't mind a double DQ or something to that aspect. You're not going to outright beat one of my guys. It's just not going to happen. And he ended up pulling both the guys out of it. But for the most part, he has been open to letting his superstars go out. I mean, John Moxley has showed up at I don't know how many independent shows. Lots of their guys. Chris Jericho's done things. I mean, you see it on video all the time where AEW stars are everywhere. ROH, AEW, you name it, they're everywhere. There was a Grand Prix that just happened down at CML, and a lot of the AEW big stars showed up out of nowhere and was a gang almost. I mean, we're talking about guys that hate each other in AEW actually were teaming together as the world team versus the CMLL team. So it was quite fun.
You know, that's the only bad part about those independent guys going to those indie shows, unless there's two of them and they wrestle each other. But you know good and well, if you're at an independent wrestling show and all of a sudden you see, you know, Shelton Benjamin or somebody like that come out to the ring, whoever they're wrestling, you know they're going to win. I mean, there's no way they're going to lose. It was just like when SWA brought in Gunner a few years back, and then we brought in Buff Bagwell and Johnny Swinger. You know when you see those guys and they're wrestling local guys, they're going to win the match. So I think it would be like, I remember one time years and years and years and years ago, the first time Luke Gallows left WWE, he come to Royston, come to the Gray Bell auction, and he was going to wrestle Dale Dwindle, and Dale Dwindle wanted to beat him. And they told him no, but I'm thinking, I don't see what's wrong with it. You know when Luke Gallows comes, he's not losing to an indie guy. So I think to shock everybody, have the indie guy beat him because you don't expect that.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? They pay a guy enough money like that, they want him to win because, you know, they're not going to – he's not coming down there unless they're going to pay him, you know, a couple grand to lose. Because he's afraid that someone's going to put it up on YouTube. Hey, did you see Gallows lose to this no-namer? You know?
And I remember when Rhino came, Rhino was like, if you want me to lose, I don't care. When Gangrel came, Gangrel was like, heck, I don't care, I'll lose. But so a lot of the old school guys don't care, but a lot of the new school guys, for whatever reason, think they've got to win every match that they're in.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of a post I saw the other day on Facebook, another local wrestling guy that has his own podcast, and he posted on there about how AEW and WWE are killing their wrestlers, both of them, because of the fact that they don't let anybody really get a long winning streak. Now, AEW, you know, they actually most time on the screen will show you somebody's win-loss record, whereas Raw don't do that. But still, if you watch it on a regular basis, you know who's winning, who's not. He said, you know, you can't really build a big-time superstar when nobody is winning matches. Everybody wins one week, loses one week. But back in the day, when the feuds were so good, you didn't care who won and lost. You just wanted to watch that feud.
Yeah. I mean, everybody knew the Horsemen were going to win in some way, shape, or form because it built the storyline and made you buy merchandise.
It used to be, I can recall being younger watching the wrestling, it used to be anytime you had a feud, whether it was a singles or tag team, the bad guys would always win and dominate the entire feud, and then the good guy would finally win, and that would end the feud. And then next thing you know, they're starting a new angle with somebody. But nowadays, there'll be a feud, and the bad guy wins one show, and the good guy wins one show, and the bad guy wins one show. So it's kind of like, well, it's a feud, but who really gets the upper hand when they're taking turns winning on a weekly basis? But back in the day, you didn't see that. It was always the bad guy won on TV every week, and then finally, pay-per-view, good guy wins, feud ends. And that's how it was.
Yep, and, you know, we was talking about, like you're talking now, they had talked to The Undertaker about a week ago, and he said the thing that he tells everybody right now, especially the younger stars, is learn how to tell a story in the ring. Because the problem is if you don't learn how to tell a story in the ring, regardless if you know or don't know who's going to win, you're never going to be a star worth of crap, and you're never going to get higher than where you are. Because if you can't tell a story with the person you're in the ring with, and that's not just, he said, doing flips and all that kind of stuff. He said, no, you gotta feel the crowd. You gotta know what they're looking for. Listen to what they're cheering for and what they're not cheering for. And then start, talking to the other guy. Hey, did you see what they cheered for when you did this or did that? He said, so much right now, the storytelling is gone in pro wrestling.
That goes back to mine and your conversation. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? We were talking about the luchadors. Remember, I said that's what's killed luchadors. Was back in the day, every other match was a regular singles technical wrestling match, and the luchadors came out there and they did the flips and stuff, and it was different. But now every single match is a bunch of guys doing flips. So what the luchadors do is nothing different. So you can't tell stories in the ring anymore because every guy wants to go out there and climb the ceiling and jump off and take the refrigerator to the ring and use it for a weapon, and you see it in every match. So nothing's different. Nothing stands out. And that's why I like independent wrestling, because at indie shows, you still see wrestling like it used to be, where guys would go out there in the ring and tell stories. But now the big-time promotions, every guy wants to climb a ladder, climb a scaffold, jump off a building, and when it's every single match, it's not different. It's like watching the same movie over and over and over and over and over and over again.
All right, well, folks, we're getting right here to the end of the show, but I got to ask Ref Brandon, Drew McIntyre, does he stay WWE or does he go to AEW? Your thoughts?
I think he's going to stay in WWE.
Even after everything they've done to him?
Yeah, I do.
I say he goes to AEW.
I think he's off TV now filming a movie or a TV show or something like that.
Well, he's actually, quote, it's a minor injury, but enough that he cannot be on TV. He's actually done finished the TV show, for what I understand, or movie of the week or something to that aspect. I can't remember exactly what it was wording, but his contract's coming up next year. And there's a lot of talk that he's kind of fed up with the way they've done him. And now, it's always sources. So, folks, we're just going by what we read right now. But me, I don't think I think I would give AEW a shot. He was already in TNA once before, a long time ago, back when it was Jeff Jarrett that owned it and did very well, but then used that to catapult back to the WWE. I think that if it was me, I would go to AEW and become a badass. Because that's what they need, is another badass.
Yeah, they do, and of course we won't know until his contract actually comes to an end. And now most contracts have a clause to where if you get injured and have to miss time, every how long you're out, they extend that to your contract, is up. So if his contract ends in March, he misses 6 months, it won't end until September. So we may not know for a while when his actual contract, runs out. But I was thinking the other day, me and Jay got to discuss future stars, because I was thinking about AEW and WWE, and just about every main event wrestler in both brands is 40 and up. Some of them are even 50. So if they don't start building new stars in about the next 5 years, neither company is going to have enough wrestlers to do anything with, because almost every main event guy now in both companies is 40 and up, and a lot of them are 50 and up. You got Jericho's 55, Edge is 53, Christian's 53. I think Samoa Joe's 46 or 47, somewhere along in that range. And Claudio Castagnoli's like 45, and John Moxley's almost 41. So both brands need to do a better job of building future stars, because the guys they're using now are getting low on days. And Roman Reigns has already said he's not going past 45, and he's 41 now. And Seth Rollins said he ain't going past 45, and he's, I think, 41 now. So both brands need to find a way quickly to build some bigger stars.
I don't think Rollins is going to be there maybe another year and a half. His contract runs out in a year and a half. He's already been taken over for Rich Eisen on his radio show. I think he goes to WWE radio or whatever they call that. and gets his own show and starts being a podcaster or whatever you want to, starts in the second half of his career. I think Becky Lynch is also in that range too. AEW, I think, does a lot more with they have a good plethora of younger superstars that they've been putting titles on, putting in main events, and most of their other older stars don't have titles on them other than Edge and Christian. I know that Moxley had it there for a long time, but he's not even in the hunt anymore. It's more MJF, Will Ospreay, guys like that. I think that they've got a good rid of talent, and I think WWE has some, but like you said, they better do something soon. But the thing with WWE, like we was also talking about, is they're just pushing these young guys into the fire way too fast. Obafemi, folks, I is the next Brock Lesnar. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to have 15 years of just destroying everything, and if they're smart, they'll sign him to a 10-year contract and keep him there for life. But if you don't get him what he needs to become able to wrestle longer than 5 minutes, that's going to be a problem in a pay-per-view. That's going to be a problem long term, because at least the Undertaker would go, 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think they're not quite messing up as bad, but I think what they're doing with Obafemi, I believe, was kind of their direction with Braun Strowman, and they messed up Braun. If you recall, when Braun, of course, came in with the wife thing, and then he went solo, and he's coming out on Raw and flipping over ambulances and all that kind of stuff like he was a big bad Superman. And then all of a sudden he got in the ring and started losing matches. It was kind of like, well, this guy's human after all, and Braun never was the same. Whereas with Oba, they're making Oba look that strong, but Oba's actually winning matches. But I'm afraid with Oba, they've pushed him so fast that he pretty much has to win every match he's in.
And he has to do it in a short time because they don't let him be in a long match. Because
you made him look so dominant that he can't go out there and lose to, Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah.
If he loses, it's going to have to be against 3 or 4 guys or a handicap match or something like that. Because if he goes out there and loses a one-on-one singles match, you've destroyed him.
And they're already trying to appetize us with Braun Breaker versus Oba, because they've already had 3 stare downs. And we heard what Breaker said to Paul Heyman, I figured you could get me a match with him because, that's your boy. So I'm curious to where they're going to go with Braun Strowman versus Oba. I think it's way too early to do that because of Brock gone. I think you build that for WrestleMania because of the both those guys just being crazy, strong, and to do it right now just seems like they're rushing it. And I think I would have Obafemi just go after the mid card title. Raw is the IC. Am I correct on that? Yeah. Because Gable's got it. I would have Obafemi fight some of the bigger guys, and even if you brought back a Strowman, or brought back what's his name from the Wyatt Six, Redbeard, just get him in some matches to get him built up, and then start having Braun and him constantly looking at each other, and then come the Royal Rumble. That's when you start building that storyline for WrestleMania. I think it's too early to be doing that with them two, because Breaker just got back from injury, and Obafemi just came off of Brock Lesnar, which means I don't know, man. It's just way too soon.
It's kind of like they've made him the modern day Brock Lesnar in no time. If you recall, back in the day when Brock was so dominant, Brock won every match in, 5-6 minutes. And now Oba's doing the same thing, trying to say that he's so good, he don't need long to beat somebody. But then when you do that, it's fine. But then the first time they lose a match, you've destroyed everything they have.
And also, we got to remember, when Brock Lesnar broke in, you had Kurt Angle, HBK, Triple H, Chris Benoit. I mean, you had superstars all up and down. You had a huge plethora because remember, there wasn't any WCW back then at that time. Everybody with WCW was gone, and so you had plenty of guys to choose from on both shows for him to go at, to feed to him. They don't have that right now in WWE. They just don't have that kind of superstar talent roster to do that with.
And one more thing before we go, Jay, I want to go ahead and say it now. Hopefully by the podcast next week, I'll have the actual physical address. But coming up on August the 29th, right off Highway 123, somewhere close to a fairground, we're going to be having a free wrestling show, and you can't beat free. And the ticket's free, and we're going to serve free lunch. So you can't beat that. So anybody that's in the upstate of South Carolina, hopefully I'll see that day. The show's going to start at noon, and the show will be over at 2 o'clock. So you'll still have the rest of the day to do what you want to with.
And we're talking free lunch, right? You said free lunch? Well,
it's on the flyer. Free lunch will be provided.
Now, folks, we're hoping it ain't Ref Brandon cooking peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So let's hope for some. If the boss is cooking, we're all coming.
I think the people doing the show are cooking. I'm not sure what all it's going to be, but it's going to be really good no matter what. And it's all free. You can't beat free.
Yeah, exactly it. All right, folks. Well, that's been this show. And boy, Ref Brandon, we put in some time today. But I tell you what, we want to thank Ardensburg Grill in Central South Carolina, Dorsey Auto Sales in Anderson, South Carolina. Thank all of you for watching us. Thank Ref Brandon, his lovely wife, the boss, and his family. Ref Brandon, tell them where they can find you each and every week.
Each and every day, almost on YouTube at Ref Brandon and the Todd family. It's mainly me. I do get the Alpha Boss on there on occasion, but it's typically just me, and it's usually wrestling and college football, but I do talk baseball, basketball, NASCAR, and then I do top 10 countdowns that may not be about any kind of sport or wrestling whatsoever.
All right, well, there you go, folks. And if he had the boss on his podcast, he'd probably already be a millionaire right now. Next.
I probably so.
Yep, exactly. All right, folks, we want to thank you. Make sure you're watching. Tomorrow night, we're going to have it uploaded. We're going to have fun. We're going to have some fans out there. We're going to have some food. We're going to have some great interactions between me and Ref. We're going to be at Ardensburg Grill, Central South Carolina at 6 o'clock. We will be starting our recording, and we'll have it uploaded up by 8 o'clock, hopefully. So make sure you come out, watch, enjoy, have some great food, meet Donnie and Angie, win some $10 gift cards for Ardensburg Grill's ardenburgerandgrill.com website, where you can get $10 off if you use the website. Come out, support, and also we'll be having our championships for both the women's singles and the men's tag team, and we will also be telling you who will fight who. That's right, who will fight who in the men's single all-time greatest wrestler tournament. Now, folks, we'll be doing this tournament every year. I've already been getting so many texts about you left off so-and-so, you left off so-and-so. Well, folks, you hit and miss when you're talking. Me and Ref were talking about this earlier. When you talking about picking just 68 of the greatest wrestlers since 1974, you're gonna miss some eventually. So that's why next year those superstars, we're gonna keep those names down. They'll get in. We'll take some out, and we'll make it fresh again. And we'll make the brackets different, so that way guys might get in go a little bit further. You never know. But folks, we appreciate you for joining us. Thank you for watching, everybody. So long.